It's time for Let's Get Real with your host from Bob Richards and Associates, Bob Richards.
Mr. Bob Richards.
Michael.
How the heck are you?
Wonderful.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
It's
good to be here.
It's been a busy week. All kinds of interesting things going on.
I should say.
But you know what I've decided, Mr. Bob? I've decided that I want to be a realtor.
Oh, boy.
And I want you to call me Loretta.
All righty then.
Almost slipped into the Monty Python.
Yes.
Oh, Bob, but seriously, folks. So I have a lot of friends that are thinking, I should get into real estate. I should be a realtor. All the realtors I know are making bucks up. And it seems to be pretty easy. I mean, really, what do? You sit in the office, you wait for a phone call, you go put a sign in somebody's yard, 2-3 days later it sells, and you make like $100,000. Fill out some paperwork, on to the next one. I could probably do that 4 or 5 times a week. I can retire in 6 months.
Oh, Michael.
Is it just that easy?
I laugh because a lot of people, honestly, with the exception of the $100,000 commission, they feel that's what it is. They just like, I can get in this and I can get out anytime that I want to, basically unscathed. I can make a lot of money. This is not going to be a lot of work. It's not rocket science. And realtors are all the same.
Well, all the same.
Yeah.
They just stick a sign in the yard and that's it.
When I first started in '92, I had an agent with me at these are ERA brokers, and he had told me, and he had a partner with them. He says, Bob, the only thing you need to do is, first of all, don't wear the shirt and tie. We just don't do that around here. I said, well, okay, but I still did, and I still do.
Yeah.
But he says, the only thing you have to do is put up a sign, put it in the paper, and pray that it sells. Those are the 3 P's of real estate. You'll make it if you just do those three things. I'm like, well, I think there's a little bit more to it than that, but thanks for playing.
So it's kind of a religious experience.
I don't know what it is.
You just pray and then it works. Wow. That explains why everybody's always in church.
True.
Praying to sell their house.
That's right. Sell their house.
Oh, Lord. Me to sell my house. Oh, well, Bob, how did you make a career in real estate? How'd you get going in
You know what? Thanks for asking, Michael. This was back in early 90s. I was working full-time downtown Salt Lake at one of the 5-star hotels. I was going to school full-time at Westminster College, working on my bachelor's degree, and then also working for my dad that he and I owned a bookstore up in Bountiful. I owned a couple of rental properties up by the University of Utah. And while I was finish up my graduating at Westminster and looking for what my next career move was going to be, I went and got my license just to say, I want to be a better landlord. I want to be a better property manager. I want to know how to make it a little bit easier for me to work well with tenants. So I did that, got my license, and then a couple, 3 brokers down in St. George said, hey, if you're ever thinking about maybe moving to St. George or selling real estate in St. George, give us a call. So the form letter is all pretty much the same, that just the letterhead was a little bit different. So I took some time, came down for a long weekend, and spent some time with these agents, these brokers, and was just enthralled by St. George. I've been down here quite a few times with my dad being a podiatrist. He had a lot of conventions and meetings here. So my mom and I would be playing at Red Hills Golf Course while Dad was at meetings, and then he'd join us in the afternoon. Anyway, I thought, well, hey, maybe I could die on the 18th green and go away just peacefully in 50, 60 years from then and go at it. So 3 weeks later, Michael, I was here. I moved Memorial Day weekend of '92, did not know a soul. Did not know anything about real estate except that I got my license and just wondered, okay, where do I go from there? Started at ERA Brokers and the rest is history.
I think that's a good story. I think that a lot of folks think that just because you have a real estate license, you're just going to make money. And in my mind, it's like having a fishing license. You've got the license, but unless you do some work and throw the line in the water and have some patience, you're not going to catch any fish. It's not enough just to have a license. You actually have to do some work.
Good example. Really good example. I like that.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, the show's over. So, Bob, let's say that I want to be a realtor? What's the process I have to go through to do that?
Really good question. This is the same for everybody in the state of Utah. So there's 120 hours worth of classwork training that you need to go through. Lessons, examples, quizzes, tests, all part of this instruction. Now, used to be where you had to do it live only. So you went to the real estate school and sat down in front of a live teacher and other people around you that were also getting their license. Then it was some video and some live. And now it's just video. I mean, you can go to a school and still be able to get that, but most everybody is all doing it online. And they have to take 120 hours state-approved classes in order to advance into the next section and the next section before you're finally able to take your final exam. You have a certain percentage, I think it's 80% that you have to get right, might be a little bit less than that. If you don't, then you have to come back. And if you miss it, like I think it's maybe the third time, you can't come back for quite a little while. So there's not an ongoing repeat. You have to walk away for a little while. Now, if you get your license, there's still some additional things that you have to do with the state of Utah. You need to pass a drug test. You need to make sure that you're not involved in any sort of criminal activity, any felonies, just a bunch of those other things that, or a background check that they need to do on you. Those kind of things make sure that you are really up and up, that they can trust you with a license, that they feel like that you're going to be able to go into homes and not vandalize or steal or anything of that nature. So they do a very, very in-depth background check on you that always goes to the FBI for their final approval too.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not just somebody at a desk saying, he looks good enough.
He has a tie.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I'm guessing that it seems really involved to me. So the test is more than they give you a hammer and a sign and see how well you pound the sign into the yard.
Oh, Michael, you are too much.
It's a little bit more than that, right?
A little bit more than that, yeah.
That 120 hours is a long time.
It is. It takes a little while. And some people will knock it out very quickly, and they take 10-hour classes every day and then return for another 10 hours and another 10 hours just to get it knocked out ASAP. But others just kind of let it go smoothly, and depending upon what their schedule would be, they could go to any of the real estate schools that are around the state of Utah and pursue getting their license. So
wow. So I'm sold. I'm going to commit to the 120 hours. Where do I go to do this? Is there an instructor I talk to? Where do I go to the school?
Yeah, so there's a number of schools here in Utah you can sign up with, and then they'll get you dialed in with their online program. You can still go to their offices, again, for live classes or for tutoring or help. So that's still all alive and well. And from Moab to Logan to St. George and all points in between, they do have plenty of schools that are available if you needed to physically go to a shingle place of an actual business. But a lot of it, you can just do it online with the same type of companies and pass through with flying colors and move on with your career.
So you just watch the videos at your leisure, and then I'm presuming that there's a test after each video?
Yes.
Is it open book?
Yes. Not supposed to be. But, I mean, you're on your own. You're right there in your own living room or office doing this thing. So there's nobody that's looking over your shoulder saying, hey, put that book away. Now, at the final exam, no books, no nothing. You can have a pen and a calculator, and that's it. And so that's the gist of it, Michael. But here's the thing that people don't understand. Those 120 hours that you're taking is how to answer the questions on the final exam. So it's not about how to practice real estate or what to talk about when you're meeting with a buyer or seller. It's if you see this question on the test, answer it A, or answer it with this phrase. When you see that phrase, that's the correct answer. And so you get your license like, okay, now what do I do? Where's the fishing pole? Where's the fishing line? Where's the bait? Those kind of things like you mentioned in your example. So it's a great facilitator to get your license, but it's not what you do or use to make a career.
So you mentioned that a person can fail up to 3 times and then they have to wait. Do you know what the waiting period
I don't remember
is?
what the time was. For me, it was like 3 years. No, I'm just kidding. I got through it the first time. But I think there's some months in there, maybe 3 to 6 months, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Wow.
I didn't prepare for that before coming today, and I can certainly find it out. But I know there's a span of time, but it's not huge. You're not having to wait for another birthday in order to go
Yeah.
back in and take the test.
So I have a real estate license question. I understand that if someone wants to be a lender
Uh-huh.
or like work for a title insurance company, they also need a real estate license. Is that true?
Yeah, very good question, Michael. They actually do not.
Oh, they don't?
Yeah, and
Okay.
so they would have their mortgage license, they'd have an appraiser's license, they would have a title insurance license, but they would not be required to have a real estate license. There are some attorneys in town that have a real estate license. They practice divorce, they practice slip and fall, they practice a variety of different categories within the real estate or within the attorney arena, and one of those might be real estate and
Yeah.
do real estate law.
So are there any other qualifications that I'm going to need to be approved to get my real estate license other than passing a drug test?
Yeah, which I know is going to hold you off from being able to do anything with a real estate career.
I'm curious as to know. So is the test like, are you good at taking drugs or?
No,
No.
Michael, we're missing the point.
Okay, nice.
No, really, honestly, folks, there really isn't anything else that you would need to do except to make sure that your ID, your background, your past experience, your run-ins with the law, those kind of things could accelerate you just to go right in the door and start real estate, or it could accelerate you right out the door and then and saying, well, you got your license, but man, you got some problems in your past. We're not going to let you. We're not going to let you move forward.
Okay, so I've got my license. I've got my fishing pole.
Yes, sir.
I'm ready to go fishing. I'm ready to land a big one.
The honker. Yes.
So what do I do now? Now what?
After we get our license, we have to find a brokerage in which we wish to work under that license of the brokerage. Excuse me, the broker is the owner of the listings.
Okay.
You are an agent for that broker of that office. As you bring in business, then if that business closes, then a portion of your commission is paid to the broker or the brokerage, and then you receive a certain percentage that's already been worked out before you start working at that brokerage. So it's not like, well, Bob, you did this in 2 weeks, so I'm going to pay you this amount. Or it only took you 2 hours, I'm only going to pay you this amount. No,
Right.
there's a fixed percentage of what that income commission would be based upon what your split is with the brokerage. And they're negotiable. There are some that charge a $500 per transaction fee. Some charge 6% plus other fees on top of that to pay to the brokerage or the broker, and then also for overhead and the toilet paper and the receptionist and whatever it might be. So you have to shop around and find out what is being required of me. If I'm needing to be in an office for 8-9 hours a day, and I've got kids and school and band practice to take them to and drama and et cetera, then you may want to find a company that, hey, if you come in, great. If you work, great. If you don't want to go fishing, that's great too. And so it just depends on people's interests and what they're doing or wanting to do with their career. If it's part-time, sometime, full-time, all-time.
Wow. That makes sense. So they need to find a broker, and they may have to interview 2, 3, or 4 to make sure they get the one that
Definitely.
they feel comfortable
Yes.
with. And quite frankly, the broker has the opportunity to say,
You're
no.
right.
So it's not like a job interview. This isn't a job. You're an independent contractor.
Correct. That's exactly right.
Okay. So they're not, okay. So,
And they do interview and like, are you going to be a risk to me if I hire
Right.
you on in the brokerage? Am I going to be seeing an attorney or the division of real estate for something that you did under my watch and under my license? Then now I'm at fault and you have some fault, but I'm the broker.
Yeah.
It buck stops there.
yeah, because they're representing your name as the broker,
Yes.
your company name personally, and your reputation's on the line. And you
It is.
certainly don't want somebody out there that didn't pass the drug test.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay, so but, I know there's some folks thinking this right now. I can tell. Yeah, I can feel it, and they're thinking this, Bob. That's an awful lot of work, 120 hours and all these tests, and I may have to take it 3 times. Why? I mean, okay. All you do is open the door for you put an ad in the paper,
Right.
open house. people show up and you open the door. Hi, welcome to my house. Here's the kitchen. Here's the pool. Thank you very much. Sign the contract, please. That's kind of all there is to it, isn't it?
Oh, it's just simply
Easy
that
money.
easy. It is. It is
totally
absolutely easy. Now, one of the things that I had taught to me, Michael, when I was in this school was the instructor said, Bob, and the rest of the class, this will be an absolutely phenomenal career if you want to control your own time. You'll be able to set your own hours. You'll be able to take days off. You'll be able to have extra time with the kids and the family and go to on trips whenever you want to. And Michael, after getting my license and now 33, almost 34 years later, I'm like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
That didn't happen because it's sales and sales requires you to be with people. And when people have their schedules and it may not fit yours, well, guess what? You typically have to adjust to their schedule if you're going to work with them and they with you. Their time is limited. Their time in St. George is limited. Their budget may be limited. Whatever that might be, it's sales. And that could be after 5. It could be on a Saturday. It may, for some, be on a Sunday. But that is sales. So here's the kitchen part. Yeah, a lot of people just think that. Exactly what your example that you shared is that we just don't do much. We answer the phone, we pray, and again, like you said, put it in the paper, put up a sign,
and pray,
and wait for the open house, and people just come in droves and say, "Oh, I want this. Well, I want this. I want it instead." And it just isn't that way. There's hours and hours and hours that are spent, and your free time really is not much of a free time. For instance, for Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend, tons of people here. If I leave because it's a holiday, well, I probably lose business.
Yeah.
But if I take my Memorial Day weekend, a different weekend, if you will, then I can still go out and enjoy what I want to do, not feel like, oh, I'm missing out on business. It's lighter, and I still may miss out on business, but I have a little bit better chance of saying I can go relax. I can go be at peace and take some time off, decompress, and then be back in the game without feeling like I've left money on the table.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So this all sounds pretty good, Bob.
Yeah.
But I want to know, if I'm going to be a realtor just like you, what are some downsides that I need to look out for about being a realtor, other than not really having a lot of free time on holidays?
Yeah. It is about your commitment to people. If you're not committed, meaning if it's all about the dollar for you folks, don't get into real estate. If you feel like they're just going to clean house and be making bucks every deal, don't get started in real estate. There's a lot of misunderstandings, misnomers, and things that are told about real estate careers that just simply aren't true. You see shows on all sorts of different stations about realtors of this state or this city. There's one up in Salt Lake that's advertised. That's not real life. You have to really get down to what is important for the buyer or seller that I am meeting with. If I put my needs before that, get out.
Right.
Do not even pursue this. This is a customer-based, face-to-face business. Now, there's fax machines that were around for a long time. Now we have DocuSign and electronic signatures and things of that nature that make it easier, but it's still a face-to-face relationship and has to be that way. That belly-to-belly contact with individuals is what makes you or helps you to make your career a success. If you're just in for the paycheck, please don't get into real estate, because you make us all look bad. Yeah. You're out there being greedy, being dishonest, you're leaning over the fence, and that just makes us all in the industry as a whole look bad. We don't need your bad apples. We want the best apples in the bunch to be working with as colleagues as well as competitors, but at least that we're working on the same level of education, standards, morals, ethics, and values, rather than, well, that doesn't apply to that person because they're hoity-toity and all this and all that in a bag of chips. No, the rules apply for all of us and need to be that way. If not, then the industry is like topsy-turvy, and no wonder people hate realtors because they don't know which one they're going to get. Yeah. The one that really does the service or the one that's just out for the check.
I think that's good advice. Speaking of good advice,
Yeah.
I know that you have a really cool house to show us today,
I
don't
actually
you?
do today. Yeah.
What do we got flying up here on the screen
Either-
any second now?
This is one of many listings that
There
I've
it
got
is.
right now, Michael. This is a townhome over in the park at Green Valley. The park was done back in the 80s, and it still has a phenomenal reputation. This is detached, no common walls. It's a corner unit. Obviously, the two-car garage. This has 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. There's a family room there that you see with the fireplace. There's also a large open great room as you first walk into the house. Here's a kitchen that we have. Now, here's the kitchen. Now, since this photo was done, we've redone the ceiling lights that has those grids and those plastic things out.
Yeah.
We took all of that out and we put in can lights. It makes the kitchen feel taller, looks more modern, looks a lot better. Here's the great room area here as you first walk into the house. It's huge. And so you could have multiple gathering areas if you wanted to, besides the family room. You've got a large gathering room here as well. Different location, different type of look. The 3 bedrooms are also very well sized. There's no carpet in this house. And we also did that same lighting in the master bathroom. You don't see that on this picture here. It has a clubhouse, outdoor pool. It has a racquetball court. It has playground. It has a lot of common area. You can play volleyball. You can throw a frisbee. There's just so many things to do in that particular place. It's priced at $414,900. Very, very good value, and has some really nice remodeling done that has been completed that you basically can turn around and move right in. Nice place, great amenities, great reputation.
It's a nice house. I like
It
that.
is, yeah, and affordable. You're not
It is
$10 million.
affordable.
It's $414,000, which is an affordable house nowadays.
It really is.
Yeah.
It didn't even have a sign in the front yard.
Yeah, absolutely. It took me but seconds to put that in.
So, Mr. Bob, let's say we got some folks who are interested in that home and perhaps others. How can
Yeah.
they get a hold of you?
Thanks, Michael. It's 435-703-UTAH. That's my cell phone number. That's 435-703-8824. Call, text, either one. Bob@buyutah.com is my email address. That's bob@buyutah.com. And obviously my website, buyutah.com. If you are on a landline and wish to call me, it's 1-800-BUY-UTAH. So it's pretty darn easy to find Bob Richards.
So it's Bob Richards and Associates. Berkshire Hathaway.
Affiliated with the Berkshire Hathaway Group, yes.
Cool. Well, Mr. Bob, it's been a joy and a pleasure.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys again next time. Another exciting adventure with Bob in Let's Get Real.
This has been Let's Get Real with Bob Richards from Bob Richards and Associates. For more information, buyutah.com. We invite you to return again for another edition of Let's Get Real with Bob Richards from Bob Richards and Associates.